Hi everyone, I am Sonya Madison and welcome to Unfiltered, where I talk about current events and some of the legal implications. This topic on Philando Castile is a little difficult to kind of talk about because it's a little surprising, or I shouldn't even say a little, it's very surprising that the jury came out with a not guilty verdict in the count of manslaughter. Now, I'm sure all of you guys have seen the video footage, and it's hard for me even to describe the facts because the video footage is really way more graphic and credible than any words that I can lend itself to. But just in summary, you have the girlfriend of Philando who's taken video footage of an officer pulling them over for a routine traffic issue. And he lets the officer know, hey, I have a gun, I'm licensed to carry a gun. And as he's reaching, which we don't know what he's reaching for, but presumably he's reaching for his wallet to verify the information that he tells the cop shoots him, and of course he was dead on the scene. Now, what I find extremely, of course, gut-wrenching is the fact that, hey, this is a person who's licensed to carry a gun. He's let you know that he's licensed to carry a gun, and then for you to immediately assume that after he's telling you I'm a law-abiding citizen, that I'm really actually going to try to kill you with this gun is I don't know, it's just astonishing. And the fact that when we're talking about gun control laws, we do talk about whether or not someone has the correct credibility as well as the correct ownership to carry a gun, and that does require some background checks. He clearly passed a background check, so he's not a criminal. He has no history of any criminal activity, as he's able to carry a gun and do so within the confines of the law. So that part is also sad. But the other part that's really sad is the fact that there was another police officer who didn't resort to the same amount of excessive force that this guy did. When you're trying to look at whether or not someone is going to be, a particular police officer is going to be charged and found guilty of manslaughter or even murder, you really have to look at the perception of the police officer, whether other police officers or whether the police officer actually felt that this force was reasonable in light of the situation. And under those circumstances, you really have to rely on other police officers to kind of come in and say, yeah, it's excessive, which you can imagine. They're going to have each other's back. They're going to support each other. So you're likely not going to get that. But at least here you have video footage of two officers, one officer who is not using anywhere near the level of excessive force, and another officer who quickly jumps into a fatal shot. And so I think that alone was, to me, enough to say this has to be excessive, because if it was, then both of them would have done the same thing, or if it wasn't, I should say, if it wasn't excessive, both of them would have done the same thing, and we wouldn't have witnessed a fatal shooting. But the third thing that's a little bit, of course, alarming is the fact that the NRA has not said anything. I mean, they're very huge advocates of Second Amendment rights, very huge advocates of being able to carry your gun around, very huge advocates of being able to defend your family. And here in this car, not only was his girlfriend, but he also had his kids in the car. He's letting the officers know, hey, I'm doing exactly what the Constitution says I can do, and that is carry my gun, have a license to do that. And he is, in response, shot and killed. And so the fact that the NRA has not said anything about this really lets you know, or really lets you wonder, okay, is it because he was black that you guys are not going to come out in support of him? Or is it because you recognize that, hey, perhaps our stance is not something that we should really go out hard for and continue to rely on? Or is it simply, again, because you just feel like, you know what, if we do say something, then we're going to have more gun control and the like, which is going to spark a reaction, it's going to spark some change, and we just don't want change. But to me, regardless of your reason, it's just extremely hypocritical for, on your one argument, to say we have these constitutional rights and we should not be denied our liberty or our freedom based on these rights, and then to watch this go down, watch someone lose their freedom, lose their liberty, lose their life, because they simply was trying to articulate their law-abiding right to have a gun, to have the license, and to articulate that to the officer, shows that it's really just not credible for the NRA as it pertains to this position. But let me know what you guys think, because I'm curious as to your response, not only with the not guilty verdict, but also with the lessons that we can take from this incident. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time on Unfiltered.